Wow, you guys can't see anything. What's up? What's up, Mark? Oh, don't talk about chat AI on Facebook yet. No, I can't do that. It's not a good idea. Oh, what's that AI? You'll put me in jail. Oh man, can't have that either. Oh, wow, everything looks different today. I don't know what it is. I woke up, everything's just, it looks like I'm looking through life with the camera. Anyways, what are we doing today? You know what we're doing today. We're talking marketing, I guess, even though I can't see shit. But we're going to talk about ChatGPT, some call it. No one's really talking about this. I haven't seen a single Facebook post about it. Yeah, probably doesn't even exist. 1 second. I can't do this. Oh, bam. That's a bit better. Whew. Hi, everyone. Back to real life. Let's do this. Anyways, intros. We got my wife, who is possibly AI. I don't know yet. It's a little tricky. Tiffany Farmier.
Hello.
And then we got the man himself, the AI Sultan, some call him the Sultan of AI, Patrick Ward.
What up?
Woo! And your host, Matt Farmer, the universe's 7th greatest marketer to ever live. I'm not telling you who the top ones are, because you'll just go to their stream. So, we're going hard on this today. We could drop the music a little bit, as long as it gets past that noise gate. Stops me from breathing all over you guys. But I don't know. I was set up a new mic setup. Just created some ads, a few title changes quickly before meeting with it. Such useful technology. It's pretty useful, but there is some downsides to it. It's like the Mid-Journey. You know, there's some stuff it just doesn't do that well, and you have to be aware of that. Like, it's not, you can't fire your copywriter yet, but definitely to make peasants at copywriting, aka me, better at it. It works quite a bit. I figured I'd do a bit of a stream on it. We're going to want to get in closer. Let's get closer. I've used it to do some interesting things, too. We'll make this screen a bit bigger, just so everybody can see a bit better. We'll zoom in. Chat AI actually, or ChatGPT told me to do this. And I was like, no, man, I can't do it. Then it used its AI powers on me. And I can't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. And I got the good old synth wave or whatever. Synth wave. I don't know. And what are we doing today? We got a nice cigar to smoke. And yeah, that's right. I smoke it in my office. You know why?
I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone. I smoke my stogie anywhere I want.
That's right, Arnold. That is right. I actually got a half one on the go, but you know, it's interesting. I've used it to create a couple things like listicles and stuff like that. The thing is, so, you know, just jumping into the pros and cons of it, like what it does well, what it doesn't do well. There's all these people that I hate, these people and etc. How many products and SaaS have we seen for this AI stuff that's free? A ton. And they're good, but everybody claims to be the master at it. Like, oh, you're just doing it wrong. You have to do it like this and everything else. It's like, bro, it's been out for a month. No one's a fucking master at it yet. And ChatGPT 3, gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot better. Or GPT 4. It'll be way, way better. And it's just like with the AI art. AI art is it still has flaws in it, you know, like it can't do hands and it can't put text on stuff and it can't do other stuff. And that's kind of like what ChatGPT is. So be careful of the claims. People like to, well, they're marketers too at the same time. They like to just over exaggerate what this stuff can actually do. Where's my lighter? You know what? We'll pull out this bad boy. We call this double flamer, double flame Danny right here, the lighter. We'll get some googlies on it later in the stream. But no, I've used it for, it's good if you can provide the creativity. It still needs like a human element. If it was so perfect, it would do all that stuff for us. But because you need to be a ChatGPT master in order to get it to work, that's a sign, you know. That's a sign that it's not that good yet. It's not going to replace everything, but it can help, especially for people like me when you're trying to create like landing pages and stuff. And sometimes you just want filler. Like for example, let's say, oh, it's so bright. I got this stupid shadow right here too. I got to reposition that. But anyways, yeah, like to create filler content, it's really good. And if you give it the ideas to begin with, because like we'll see, it's kind of boring. It's not that creative. I think a copywriter 1v1, like if a copywriter were to go against Chat GPT, it would win. Of course, it's not. It's going. A copywriter's going to charge a lot more. They're gonna complain. They're gonna charge crazy fees, and sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not. But if you can add it to your arsenal, like it's one of those things where you just split test with it. It's just like what I did is I had it write some reviews and everything else. It's like rate a review of Home Doctor book. Oh, not familiar with it. Don't fucking lie to me. You know exactly what I'm talking about, ChatGPT. I think I need to give it the full name. 1 second. Parent. So it should know what I'm talking about. If it's so good. If you're so AI, you would know. Write a review for book. Huh. It's actually did it before. Let's try. Right. Review for Home Doctor. I'm going to put it in quotes. Just so it knows it's a string. I'm sorry. Okay, well, it's being really Canadian right now. Being sorry. But let's see. We got the Lost Superfood. So, right. A review for the Lost Superfoods book. It just doesn't want to do anything for me right now. And the funny part was that this would previously give me an output, which is okay. Right, an ad for Kylo Pain Patch. Here we go. So let's go over the copy and see exactly like how good it is. But it does really weird stuff. It'll be like one of the great things, and then you ask it for the like multiple products. But you could also have it write in different voices and everything else, and that seems to be the key and everything. But one thing you have to look out for is like this isn't Facebook policy compliant, which copywriters are a little bit they don't go hard enough on the compliance side of things. Are you looking for relief from chronic pain? That's a personal attribute. Instantly, the ads got banned. So, there you go. Count's over. Count's gone. Ads. But, you know, you could go, our innovative patch is designed to provide fast and effective relief from a variety of pains. Let's see. Make it a bit bigger. Sold by Peggy's and Harold's can see it. One of the great things about Kylo Pain Patch is that it's non-invasive, easy to use. Simply apply the patch to the affected area and let it work its magic. Right, an ad for Kylo from an 80-year-old. I wonder what the law is for using testimonials of OpenAI. Probably not good. Probably wouldn't recommend it. But don't take my word for it. As an 80-year-old, like, it only really added that. Watch. If I do the same thing and a 75-year-old, you could also regenerate response and everything like that. It's very similar. As a 75-year-old, as an 80-year-old, I know firsthand how difficult it could be. So, you know, then we could go rate a doctor's review of Kylo, or a doctor's testimonial for Kylo Pain Patch. See it line, it's not a medical doctor. Come on, OpenAI. But you'll see it's like, it uses a lot of the same stuff. So you can have it like re-rate different copy and everything else. So like there's some advantages to it. Like it could work really good. Or even like write an ad about the effect. No, that's about the Kylo Pain Patch to a skeptic. Yeah, Kylo Pain Patch needs to talk to legal. That's a good way of putting it. They need to. I wonder what the defense is. It's like self-driving cars. I wasn't driving. I was self-driving when it ran over all those people. And then they're like, well, self-driving's being taken to jail for a couple years. We're taking the license of self-driving. Also, this stream is brought to you by Monster, because my new energy drink Matterall is not out yet. The best energy drink. But you can ask it like, write a listicle article about these 3 books. Let's give it some books to do an article about. Let's see. Top 3 Amazon books. Weight Loss by Gina. Atomic Habits. I'm just looking at bestsellers. And It Starts With Us, a novel. It Ends With Us too, a novel, volume 1. See how it does with this input. This is also a good way to like read books without actually reading them. Funny how it did 5 reasons. These 3 books, 5 reasons. Come on. Come on, how's your understanding in general? Alright, let's get it some previous ad copy that I know has worked in the past for about Kylo. Write another version of this ad. Like, it does lots of stuff, like, against policy right here. Look no further. Like, it loves saying stuff like, it's like it's been listening to infomercials to some extent. Look no further. And it doesn't rewrite it too good, but you can get... it's usually not duplicate content. So I usually don't see the hit there, but it's a lot of the you can have it do like, give me 10 different ad titles for Kylo Pain Patch. So say goodbye to chronic pain with Kylo Pain Patch. That can work on a policy side. Like I'm very policy aware, because I've worked with a lot of like people in the info space, etc. We've helped a lot of people become policy compliant. So like most of these are pretty good for it, but like that's where you really have to be careful. Duplicate content, and typically like I don't see it do too much duplicate, but it'll duplicate itself, and like it really doesn't have too much to go from. Like it doesn't I find there's not enough seed data from it for it to rate like really good ads. It'll be very repetitive, just in kind of what it says, what it does, and all the articles and everything else. But you could have it like write an article on alternative pain relief. Like when it comes to just filler content, like let's say I had a publication about just like pain, etc., and I'm like, damn, I should probably post something organic on Facebook for it, etc., and then add my own kind of marketing messaging to it. But I find like if you compare it to advertorials that truly convert, it just doesn't really push up there. It's kind of weird that it didn't do my books for it. Here, I'll just look at some other products that I have currently listed right now. I just have to sign in to password manager. Okay. Login. So it's like, what's the main purpose right now? It's kind of like, you can ask it to make larger articles and everything too at the same time, but it is hard to find, say, like winners for it. It can seed ideas. If you give it really good ideas, it can find you some good alternatives to it, and then you can kind of test what the alternative is. Like, is it ideal? Is it something that you should use? Does it follow policy? Which it doesn't always on that, because it'll ask, like, that's one of the biggest things that you got to watch out for, is like personal attributes. So basically saying like tired of being fat, or like, you know, tired of whatever, or anything like that basically calls out a person on an attribute that would make them not feel too good. You definitely don't want that. Okay, write a 1,000 word article on the benefits of affiliate advertising. See, like, this is great. Wow, I'm just coughing, smoking myself out today. So it's like, for this wouldn't sell somebody into affiliate advertising. Like, it can provide very static information, and it kind of just like gets a whole bunch of definitions and mashes them all together. So, right, and add a marketer trying to sell an affiliate course. So here's a personal attribute. Are you tired of struggling to make money as an affiliate marketer? You're calling out a personal attribute at that point. Sum up Facebook ad rules. Yeah, obviously adhere to the policy. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Personal attributes. Ad rule. Yeah. See, it's not even discrimination of that, it's discrimination of everything. It'll get you in trouble. So it's not 100% correct there. Trust me, I know. I've seen lots of accounts banned for it. But, you know, it's an interesting thing. It's not bad. I like it as filler content. I like it as ideas. When it comes to just like writing different headlines. Okay, let's just see here. Write 10 alternative titles of... I wonder how it does with emojis. See, and these are pretty good to work with overall. So, like, if you seed it, even if you seed it with something that's not that good, it can provide some decent ideas on that side. It's like, write 10 YouTube video ideas about a home doctor book. Notice how a video on. You basically want to remove the video on for this. You could just go how to use the Home Doctor book as a resource for pet care and first aid for pets. Well, that's not actually one that would be too relevant for it, but it's pretty interesting, you know? It's just like they do a lot of stuff. They break a lot of copy rules and just like SEO and organic rules, where you just like you'd want to remove this part to it. So it's like, do you still need skill in order to use it? It's like, yeah, you got to put a marketer's brain towards this actual software. And are there experts in it? Ish. There's lots of people that are claiming they're making ads that are working with it. And like, I've got some ads that have worked with it and some generated some articles that I had to rework just because they're very redundant. It's interesting. I used a bunch of the terms that I used previously and now it doesn't work for it. So that's a pretty interesting one for it, but they perform okay. But it's like, I've seen bigger uplifts from just copywriters providing. It's like the creativity side of it isn't the most creative. It can find you alternatives. Like, it's good at mix matching the variables and everything else, but it's like, unless you actually put creativity into it. We'll just see. Like, there's a bunch of different products. Okay. Write 3 Facebook ads for the product Life Safe, which is a fire extinguisher. So let's just go with this, see what it does. Oh, that's not actually... It's actually called Life Safe, which is funny. It thinks it's something completely different. Okay, let's go parenttrends.com/lifesafe. Let's see how it write an ad for this website. Okay, well, it gets a write an ad for LifeSafe Fire. Yeah, let's see. I guess it's called Stay Safe, but it's by LifeSafe. So, Stay Safe Fire. I don't know if they call it a fire extinguisher or if I'm legally allowed to. Let me just see if they have it in. Because like a fire extinguisher is different. So there's some things you do have to look out for. Write an ad for Stay Safe. Think. Are you concerned about your family's safety? Personal attribute. Are you looking? It's like if it has a question mark, a lot of the times it's not good. See, this is Stay Safe isn't even this product itself, so it's a little bit confused. Okay, write an ad for Stay Safe Fire Extinguisher. Easy to read pressure gauge. It doesn't even have that. So like you can't expect it to know like what your product has. Like sometimes it's just completely off. It's not perfect AI. Of course with version 4, I think a lot of this stuff's going to change. So it's kind of like you want it to some extent. It's just like sharpen your blade before the next version comes out. When it comes to creating like say just lots of different types of content, you just have to be careful with like what it actually says about your product. You have to check your policy. You have to check pretty much everything else with it. So it can give you it can give you some good information about it, but it doesn't always know the context, especially when you're trying to advertise something that isn't here. Write an ad for like this is all right so far. Pressure gauge, a safety pin. Like it may actually even have this stuff. No, it doesn't. There's no safety pin on this. Why are you lying to me? You know, and so like the product that I'm talking about right here, and it's a fairly new product, so it's not going to have, it's like for any kind of new product you have, yeah, it's not going to be the best for it. You do want to, yeah, you basically want to check and make sure it properly describes what you're actually selling, like what you're doing for it and everything. But like let's say if you're advertising something that's well known, then you can. Let's see if it knows what Air Physio is. So this is another Giddy Up product. Write an ad for Air Physio. Suffering from respiratory problems. You can't! And the problem is like a lot of the people who claim to be good at this stuff, like you can do this. Where like you probably won't get hit right away, but once your account goes under review, it's you're likely going to get in some trouble for it. Like, and typically an account goes under review kind of in that $30,000 to $50,000 ad spend mark. And a lot of it is just like, you know, it's just kind of based on what's scraped and everything else. And depending on when the data is from, that's going to be kind of how good it is too at the same time. You know, I think this kind of stuff can be, it can be good for different things, like, you know, explaining complex things. And how's my night go? My night's going good. I had the VR out for a little spin. I had to go get my wife's iPhone replaced from, we were just meaning to do it. We had the warranty and everything, and then I convinced the guy to be like, no, don't send it back, because it had a bulging battery, and that wasn't the best for it. But my night's always pretty good. I can't complain. Campaigns, though, campaigns aren't doing the best today. They're still in the profit, but I just did so many bloody changes last night. Like, one thing is, when you make really big changes to your ads, you almost need like a 24-hour settling period, where it changes from time to time. It used to be different. Like, I say this now, and then in like 5 years, everyone will be like, Matt, you idiot, it works right away. And it's like, yeah, well, back then it didn't. It's like, if you do really big changes to accounts and like adding massive amounts of budget, new campaigns, etc., you typically, what I like to call, eat shit for 24 hours. But it's just really getting the account ready for tomorrow, and tomorrow it's going to absolutely explode and do amazing. But I did a whole bunch of new ads, and one of the things you want to do with your ads is almost use them as comment moderation too, at the same time. So, like, just how you explain the product, and if people don't understand it, like, for example, this one, like, Home Doctor comes with 2 additional PDF, like, digital books. And if you don't make it clear enough to people that, hey, these are digital books, even if you write it a million times, if you don't have it in your ad, they'll be like, this is false advertising. And then you get all these comments and, you know, more refunds and everything like that. I typically stay under, like, max refunds I ever hit on an affiliate product, just because I advertise it in an ethical way, done in a way that, like, lies about anything. It's like, you should really be under 5%. Like, last month was pretty good. I had like a 2% refund rate, and that was fine. Also, it doesn't help that everybody was on break, and then it basically hit last week, or like on the 2nd, they did all the backlog of it. So this month it looked like I had like a 4.5%, but that's basically dropping per day. And sometimes I like to do the ads to affect that. I also made a whole bunch of variations with Midjourney last night, where just like different images and stuff to use. I'm always testing on my side, just to make sure, like, you know, we're in a good position. It's a whole not being lazy when it's working thing. Like, it's working so good right now. I just want to make sure I won't have problems in 3 months with fatigue, because I was just like, all right, leave it, you know, go back to my living room and watch YouTube. We're good. Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to beat everything. And also, at the same time, I got to learn I'm hiring video editors, but at the same time, I'm somewhat learning how to do it, just for like my basic stuff that I'm doing for shorts and stories and etc. Because I want to test a whole bunch of different ads and really crack that meta right now. Like, I'm pretty sure I know the marketing meta for how stories work and how to get it to work and etc. But you can't claim that, like, even if I've had it win with like $10,000, $20,000 spent, etc. But it's like, no marketer even takes you seriously unless, like, even if you spend $60K on a new platform and it's profitable, they're like, may win, you know, it's not quite good. So I'm just getting ready for that next kind of meta to kick in and just really amp up on the TikTok side. That's my plan right now. Here's a good one. Right, video topic about affiliate marketing for TikTok. Rate 10. You work for me, AI. 5 beginner mistakes to avoid. Like, these are pretty good. The role of SEO and affiliate marketing. See, and one thing, like, I'm kind of on this always learning journey, and that's what, so I can also provide good information and everything else. And I saw an interesting video yesterday. It was with Alex Hermosi, and he's everybody kind of knows who he is right now and everything. And he was kind of talking about the whole meta, about, you know, here's what you shouldn't really use, like the here's what you should do, here's what, you know, this is what you should do, etc., and make it more about yourself. And that's kind of like the new social proof, because everybody can tell you what to do. And it's like the worst when you hear someone who's like, how to grow your Instagram, and then you see they have like 3,000 likes, or, you know, 3,000 followers, and you're like, well, you're not that good at it. Or they have millions and like it doesn't apply to you, versus like saying how I did it. And it's like, the thing is, Chat GPT, it doesn't fully know what, like, these new marketing metas and like what's working and everything else. And that's why copywriters are still significantly, I wouldn't say significant, yeah, still, I'll say significantly, they're still better. But I think copywriters can really use this to kind of come up with variants. Like, I would take this and I'd spitball it, or even just like the top 3 affiliate programs I took in order to get to platinum, or etc., even though I didn't take any courses for it, or etc. Yeah, it's just really kind of changing the meta on that part, because you really have to know. It's so easy, like there's so many people out there who they just try to copy. Oh, John Crestani. You know, it's hard for John Crestani to make a comeback. That guy is like so deplatformed absolutely everywhere. Yeah, you'll only see YouTube advertising for it, because if you put his name on Facebook, your account gets banned pretty much immediately. And it's just because, you know, they know they know what he does, and he's pushed the envelope too much on his side. But of course, this is the best time for him to try it too at the same time. Like, I know he has like agencies and everything like that, and he can do, like, he has burner accounts that he can use for Facebook. But just, you know, I don't recommend anyone try it. But if you put John, like, his name, his whole, like, you can get your entire name blacklisted on a platform when you abuse it too much. And there's certain like big gurus and stuff who've got to that point, and you really have to be wary of that, because then you just get in the whole like burner account and like etc. And then he'll train people like, hey, how to make money advertising my course on Facebook, but he's using burner accounts, and he kind of fully knows that like they're going to get banned out. And a lot of the affiliate training that you see, even stuff from like Robbie Blanchard, etc., is kind of, it's not Facebook account friendly, so it doesn't have the best long-term to it. And I don't expect like people who are new into it, they can't make enough money fast enough. Is a scheme artist selling a potion to make money to people? Like, he does provide some good information overall. Like, if you look at just his informative stuff, and he's a turned on guy. I've never met somebody before who's more like, he's got something kind of wrong up there when it comes to just like productivity. And I see that with a lot of different like gurus and entrepreneurs. It's like kind of like a Dan Henry, where they have like a OCD, ADHD, etc., where they just like lock in and they go hard. Like, he was, the one time I talked to him, he was, before that, he's like, oh yeah, I was watching infomercials for the last 6 hours, and he'll just sit in his office watching infomercials for hours. So like, he's a smart guy that way, and he has made millions and everything like that. But it's just, I don't like courses that teach you how to sell. Even Alex Becker had a fall. Well, he just went into the whole SaaS thing. Like, he's pretty good. He knows how to rock the info space, but yeah, and like, he taught YouTube and everything else. I know, like, I went to the mastermind. So Sam Ovens, he's one of the good info guys that teaches you how to make like info products, etc. I was a part of his his quantum mastermind. It was like 30K a year, etc. But Alex, basically, I think he was somewhat tired of the info game, and it got, you know, like, he's good at organic, and he is insanely good at crypto, but it doesn't mean I think he could teach like a crypto course or anything. So he just made Hyros, and Hyros is okay. He's a good marketer. Like, Alex Becker is a good marketer. It's just Hyros is so bloody expensive that if you have any kind of margins, it just absolutely eats away. So like, for example, like if you were to do it for like a solar company or something, where their payment, like what they make from it, is like 30K per whatever, but the cost of delivery is 25K. You basically end up pushing, it's based on like how much revenue you're pushing through it. So what happens with Hyros is you get, basically you have to upgrade every time. So next thing you know, you're paying like 5 6K when you're not even per month, when you're not even advertising that much. And it's not too groundbreaking. Like he does the whole fingerprinting thing. Fingerprinting's been around forever, back in the app, the app days, etc. Like when apps first came out, and like when Facebook marketing first came out, there was no SDK to track it. So I worked with a company called Tapstream who had a fingerprint, and basically I could connect it to the API and they'd do like a fingerprint, etc. He does the same thing, and honestly, I found Wicked Reports was a bit better. There's so much, like, Hyros used to look absolutely awful. And I'm not just gonna sit here a shit on Hyros. Like it can be a good tool. We just have, like, in the agency space, just so many problems setting it up. And then, like, even when you do get it working and everything else, it's like, can it justify its cost? Which is hard to do at times, especially when you start putting serious revenue through it, because they're paying more for Hyros than they were for our fee or for like anything else. So it's basically adding a whole bunch. And then for the margin based companies where they're going off like a 20% margin, it Hyros sees 100% of the revenue and then they charge based on that. So like, they'd take 10 points off their margin and you'd have like a 20% hit overall, or like even more. Like, let's say if your margin's 20% and they take a 10% off the overall, like, kind of ad spend revenue, etc., like that's seriously harming margins. Like where the numbers look big, like, oh, I saved millions of dollars, but the cost of it would get crazy. So we're doing a whole thing of like comparing it to, say, Wicked Reports and the other ones. And like, I think Wicked Reports it may not be as good, but it's close. Also, one of those things is I would always joke and also be kind of serious that Hyros is technically an illegal level of tracking. So if you were to try to do the same tracking with Google Analytics, you'd get banned from the platform. Like that, you can literally get banned from Google Analytics. Been there, done it, because you're not supposed to, with Google Analytics and with tracking in general, you're not supposed to be able to associate a person. You're supposed to associate like a random variable to an actual click and everything else. So when it comes to all these like privacy laws, etc., in my opinion, it was technically an illegal level of tracking. And if they became big enough, they may get hit for it. As marketers, we just like, whatever, we'll jump on his SaaS and he'll have liability and everything else. But I think it's one of those like ticking time bombs. Also, like, Facebook it doesn't take much for a platform to, like, of course you could say, oh, I'll stay 5 steps ahead and everything else, but it doesn't take much for a platform to stop giving your tracker data, especially if they think that you're using it in vain. Like, it's just too much information. And it's interesting because it also had like an unlimited time period that you could track them for. So versus like when iOS 14.5 hit, Facebook was no longer able to do like a longer term. They'd have like max 7 days when it used to be 30. I didn't tell you this, but they're gonna be going way past that again soon with conversion API and everything else. But like, it technically does a forever session for them, which was cool because you could look at a user and see their exact path. You'd be like, they clicked on here, they clicked on there, blah blah blah, and see their entire path and everything they did and what they communicated with and stuff. And that was pretty good. But I don't think, yeah, it's just like when you're spending 30K a month on ads and then another 5K for a software, it was just, I feel like it was a bit too much. And then he increased the prices from there. So it's like it's a good tool, and we used it like with a lot of his case studies. I also think the guy was using it to harvest information, because he'd do all these videos and stuff and he'd be talking about my campaigns, well, not even mine, but like the agency's campaigns that were running for clients. Like he was, it's almost like a way of seeing what's working in the market based on like other people's meta. So it did somewhat give him an advantage there. And it's not one of those things. I don't hate him for the sauce. I think that was a legendary play, and everything else. There's no hate there. Yeah, went from Conquer to a SPAC deal, and he had a couple like Market Hero wasn't that good of a software, but I think he did good. And where he basically came up with the idea was in the Sam Ovens mastermind. I think it was like Dan Henry who asked, like, hey, like, can we track this? And Sam was like, no, you can't track this. And he basically got up and left. The interesting part too about Alex Becker, completely different person in real life. He is probably the softest person that you'll ever meet in your life. Like, just a very, like, socially timid person that's nothing like him. You know, and I've met lots of people like that where they're keyboard warrior, but they're absolutely not anything like that in real life, which is always weird. Yeah, he used it as a tool to exploit a market for his own financial gain. Yeah, it's SaaS 101, but I think there's worse actors out there. Like, the tool was him trying to fill a market gap, and he did a really good job advertising it and getting people on board and everything else for it. But like, when we really looked at it, because, you know, as an agency, you almost want to set up your clients in like a box where you do, because we would go across like all the landing page builders and all the tracking softwares, and it's a lot of wasted energy versus if you could give like just a box of like, hey, we set you up with everything. It's also better for retention and everything else like that, and just becoming really, really good at the software. And I was before my exit, I was really just kind of looking at Hyros versus like Wicked versus other kind of tracking platforms, and it was really, you know, it was really one of those questions like, is it that good? His online image is just his brand and persona, the marketing badass. Yeah, no, his online persona is his online persona, which I give him credit for. That's cool. You know, it's one of those things. See, for me, I'm my real self in every situation, and that, you know, even in like when I take meetings and stuff, there's no professional Matt. I was just like, you know, I just talk to everybody the same way, and it makes it really easy. And like what I know, Jeff knows, Jefferson knows, he's been there. I was like cancellation daddy, cancellation poppy himself, where I could get canceled during so many meetings and stuff that I was on. But it was one of those things, you know, where, because I saw a lot of entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of people, and I give people credit because there's like, and it's kind of who you want to be, is that person where, you know, there's like that one person where they're just an absolute degenerate, and you're like, oh, I couldn't bring this person in front of like a princess or a queen or something, because they're going to act themselves no matter what the situation is. They have no like professional version or everything else. And I noticed a lot of really good entrepreneurs and like people who are really good in social circles are just very themselves in every kind of situation. It doesn't mean you always have to be a degenerate, but everybody kind of knows that person where it's just like, you know, they're themselves in every kind of situation. I think it's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. But yeah, he's definitely like, he was a different type of person in real life versus online, which is fine. It worked for him. He made lots of money, and he was good at crypto. I don't think crypto courses are good though. Like, that's just a way of milking like your audience and everything. And I don't think, like, with a lot of his predictions and everything else, he'd make his own kind of pump. And he was really good. I'll give him credit, calling tops and bottoms for everything. Like, he understood the market psychology for it. But yeah, it's not the best. He also was fully aware of, like, you know, tax burdens on making all this money. And, you know, I could potentially see him with all this stuff kind of going a little bit offshore to get away from the tax of it. But he's interesting, and it's like a lot of those guys, a lot of those like really edgy guys are just that way online and not that way in real life, which is always weird. Like, I'm kind of the same in all situations. Jemerson, you have a baby yet? Here, let's get Chat AI to name it. Name my baby. Give me 10 options. There you go. I've already used one of them, Benjamin. I got a Benjamin kid. And it's just like, it's almost like the Andrew Tate method and everything else of just like, they're purposely abrasive, and then they talk about it, and then they unabrasive themselves. So they'll make some crazy big statement, and then they'll back it up, always in like a weird way. like, here's why webinars are the stupidest thing you could do as a info product, and then they'll almost at the same time switch it to like why webinars are good. And it's just like it's an ad thing and everything else, and it's not my favorite form of marketing, because you do kind of, and you can't, it's weird, you almost have to plan that as like, what's your brand? Are you that type of a person? Are you like, I'm going to be abrasive all the time? It must be tiring for these guys, because then another keyboard warrior shows up, and then you got the ultimate influencer battle of just keyboard warriors going at each other, and that's it's fun to watch. But yeah, it's all kind of perception too, and it's really interesting to think about, like, when you make content and everything else, you kind of ask yourself, who do I want to be, and it also can depend on your demographic too. Like, if I'm Matt selling to Peggy and Harold, I'm probably respectful Matt that isn't like pounding energy drinks and being like, all right, Peggy, let's get an energy drink in you and then you'll make this decision. You'd have to talk to her a little bit different, and that's good why you could hide behind brands. And it's probably best I'm not forward facing and in meetings and everything anymore, because yeah, it's not my favorite thing. And it's you get interesting personalities too, and we'd see it with like all the entrepreneurs that we work with. There's certain type of entrepreneurs that are pain in the ass to work with, some that are really chill, and they all have different quirks and everything else. Like, some, especially if they were Scientologist info products, would purposely I knew this one guy, he'd just be like attacking people all the time from the team, and I was like, no, I'm not dealing with that shit. It's like, hey, leave my team the fuck alone, we'll fire you. Because they'll purposely, like, there's ones that will, if they smell blood, like, there's certain entrepreneurs where they love that that positioning above people. It's like the class that they are, etc., where they'll purposely, like, always try to do that. And if they get blood, they love going into people, just being like blah 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 if they find any kind of chink in the armor or anything else. I had a guy once, Australian guy, who eventually got hit as a scammer and stole a bunch of money. He tried to pin me on something, like, I forget what it was. He got me on a call and because his whole, you got to look at like what their motive was. He was just looking for some money back or something like that. And he tried to corner me on a call. I'm like, wait a second, motherfucker. You don't call me without anything. Just try to call me out on something unprepared, and then try to get a refund. I'm like, I know what you're trying to do here. It's pretty fucking obvious. So yeah, it's just like dealing with those different types of people, and then like dealing with corporations are different too at the same time. And it's all a dance, and it's just like, call it Halloween, all these damn people wearing costumes, trying to push themselves. And like, some of these influencers, they get too much ego going, like the Kevin Davids of the world and everything else, where it's just like, I'm new money, Lambo, blah blah blah. But yeah, it's like, see, where I'd really use this is if I was making a landing page and I just really needed like thicker content for it. 3 reasons why you need Kylo Pain patch, and just like, because it's always a very logical thing, but it's not really too creative. It doesn't like, AI doesn't have emotion, so they don't typically use like an emotional cell or anything like that. They just don't follow, it doesn't follow the copy thing. But you could have it to like kind of rewrite ads, give you titles, everything like that. I typically, like, where I mainly use AI right now is just on the title front, like just getting variations of titles. And I think that's kind of where it did best, of just like, hey, write 10 alternative titles of the Home Doctor book, and then I'll, some of these are the Essential Guide to First Aid and Self-Care, like something like that. It's not super, who we call them, the marketing cult leaders. Yeah, well, that's really it. And they're trying to be, the problem is a lot of them are they try to be that way to like run the marketing cult and like run the cult of this and everything else. And a lot of them, like, they don't have the actual product that backs it, they can talk a big game, but are they actually helping people get to the desired goal? And it's like that's one of the biggest issues with, say, info products and with marketers and etc. And like just with offers in general. It's like an offer, and it's so much more important right now to have offers that are really good. Like that's really iOS 14.5 killed shit offers. That's one of the biggest things that it did, where it's like, are you offering something that's good? Are you offering something that is actually unique? You can't just, and it's hard to compete. So all these guys, like, they'll start bending the rules. Like they'll start Kevin Daviding, where they make up their own testimonials and stuff and start to become FTC compliant so they can stand out, because they're selling all the same systems and everything, versus like having something really unique, being the first person to teach people how to be like, here's my TikTok, like selling items on TikTok, or if it's been done before. Or I saw a really cool one before. This one guy was selling an info product on how to make money reselling pallets. So he'd basically like pick them up from companies because they just wanted to get rid of them and then sell them to other companies. And I'm like, see, that's a really unique one, where the offer itself, it's something like you're not competing against everybody else. You're good. It's just with these really big oceans, you have to like, and it's kind of like the John Cristanis. How do you separate him from other affiliate marketers? And one of the big things here, let's write an ad for John Cristani. Let's see what AI does on this. Write an ad for John Cristani. And he's one of the ones too, like, I know for a fact that the FTC is going after info marketers right now. Ready to take control of your financial future and start your own online business? This technically will get you hit with BizOp, so it's not the best. You'd still need some kind of bridge going into it. Look no further than John Cristani. John Cristani is a leading authority in the world of affiliate marketing and online entrepreneurship, where like he was also the one to he comes up with unique ideas, because you're either like, to become really good at marketing, you really either need to, like, you have to learn it all you learn all the current strategies, and then like you get good at those and you can be a great marketer that way. But you also want to like, once you get to that point, that's when you could start to reinvent and do something big. It's like the whole here in my garage, like here in my garage won't work again. And at the time it was an absolute really smart marketing meta that no one else had done before. So there's not many people that are like revolutionizing what marketing is. A lot of it still goes to the old stuff, and it kind of goes in waves of what's working. Like you'll see webinars like go up, then they'll get overused, and then they'll go down. And then you'll see stuff like free previews, like that whole model of like physical events and everything else. You'll see those go up. And before COVID, there's so much money going into that kind of stuff, and somewhat guilty on that end, but they'll become less effective, and then you'll have to go into something else or something new. And then it'll go into like challenges, like, oh, run a 30-day challenge. And then challenges became really big during COVID, and they worked during that time, and webinars worked less. And it's really kind of figuring out what point you are. But it's like stuff like webinars kind of always come back up, and you can still make money during it, but it's not always the most efficient thing to do. And everything else, it depends how saturated the market is. Like whole saying like marketers ruin everything is insanely true. We ruin, you name it. Like there'll be something like an advertorials when they're first thought of, they worked really, really well, and then marketers ruin that. Like there's too much money that gets put into it, or the whole clickbait thing, and webinars and VSLs, and like that kind of meta changes over time. And one of the big ones, give Alan Sultanic Complete, and he gives it away for free on Nothing Held Back, which is probably one of the best groups, because he gives away free mastermind information on it. But the interesting part, and what I've been hearing lately, and it's very true, it's like the current marketing meta and like what works really good in info space is it's hard to sell info right now. But what you have to do is you give away the info and then you sell the implementation. So like, let's say, you basically, as an ecom guy, it's really hard right now to sell the information for it. Like that's very, very competitive. Everybody's doing that. So you freemium it. It's just like, I used to work for a lot of dating sites and stuff like that. And dating sites worked really good, and they're like a pay to play type model, etc. Before like Tinder came in, etc. But then it went to like it was from like a premium to a freemium product where people started giving it away for free, like Tinder and Plenty of Fish and all this other stuff. So it went to a freemium model where it's basically you can no longer just pay to get access to the network itself. You have to give it away for free and then have a premium attached to it. And it's kind of like with everything, it kind of goes through those models. So if there's something that's being given away for money right now, it's only a matter of time before it goes into like a freemium model where you kind of give it away for free and then you have to sell something on the side of it. And it's almost like and that's also how you get really good reach, and you have some advantages too. It's even on my side, like I'm giving away all the information that I have that I would sell in like a um in anything really. And then it's you give away the information, but nobody in the biz ops space really wants to implement right now. Like they could find informations in a lot of spots, etc. John Crestani still kind of doesn't have that whole like the done for you model. Like there's multiple models that you can have. Yeah, teach them how to do something, then affiliate link at that point. So you give away free, and like that's kind of the game that we're at right now. So it's getting a lot harder to sell information. So it's not as easy for those guys, especially for all the big stuff like Amazon and everything else, where it's like you really have to, when you're competing that way, you have to change it up, where if you have a model instead of selling a course on how to do Amazon, you do something like a done with you or a done for you service that you sell on top of it. Because there's three main types. There's the DIY, which is just providing the information, like me saying like, okay, here's all the steps in order for you to like create a publication, sell ClickBank products and everything else. Yeah, a lot of ClickBank products are just rehash products of marketers. Yeah, they just respin the content and everything else, unless you have something new. Like you can have new stuff, and that's why I like places like GiddyUp where they actually do have new products, like new things. But it's interesting. I think you could sell the information for really cheap right now, and then like somewhat blend in a done with you or done for you, where it's like, if I give away a free course on affiliate marketing, and then throughout that course you have the option of like, hey, do you not want to learn web design or like WordPress Oxygen to create a publication, pay this amount of money and I'll make one for you, type deal. The done with you model is really interesting too, because like that, the most scalable is DIY. Do it, just provide the information, you sell it, you sit back, you're like, woohoo, life's good. Done with you's a good way of scaling done for you. Like done for you can get really hard because you need everybody to do it, and there's people in the space that will help you set up like a done for you model, etc. But it's not as easy of access as like a do it yourself would be. And then the whole the done with you model is an interesting one, and Taki Moore always talks about that kind of model. I was in his mastermind for a bit. Taki's an interesting bloke. I like him as a person. He's an interesting guy. He's really hard to work with overall, but if I did work with him, cough. But yeah, it's just one of those things where like that's a really cool model where it's kind of like a group thing where you all kind of do it together. There's a lot of community and everything involved in it. Sam Ovens kind of teaches the do-it-yourself model, which that was really big. Sam Ovens made an absolute ton of money from it, and he's still making money. And he's probably one of the good guys where, like, there's two types of info products. There's ones that work, and there's ones that don't. And a lot of people and a lot of big marketers, even like the Kevin Davids and even John Crestani's, etc. Well, maybe not John Crestani. Maybe his stuff works in the back end. Maybe. But like the Kevin David models where it's kind of like you don't provide on the back end and you don't actually have that value for it, and those are the people you really have to watch out for, because they put all their effort into the front end getting the sale and everything else, but the actual quality of the back end and the result people get, it's one of those imploding models. And some of the best people in the info space, they do kind of like they care more about the back end than they even do about the front end. Like they're still front end masters, but back end is like some of the biggest guys in the industry. Well, there is big guys that don't care about the back end and absolutely get no results for anybody, and they just use their name and brand and they don't really care. They're just making money, etc. But it's like you just create problems for yourself. You're just out there, you're reselling and everything else. And there's almost like two different types of models too at the same time of how people do it, which is where you have like one product. And this is typically like if you have one product, it has to be a good product and you have to be able to arbitrage it and everything else and, make money from it. Or if you build like a big natural, like organic audience and your audience becomes big enough, you'll just get in this like hamster wheel of starting to create this more and more products to sell the same audience to. So like you could do it that way, and I feel bad for those people who get in that hamster wheel because they're creating like $30 and $40 courses, or like, that goes into their mastermind overall. Every month they have something new, so they're always in the creation stage, and that's a pretty hard model. And you really have to kind of think of that too at the same time, where it's like, do I want to be an organic marketer? Do I want to just keep pumping out new products to these people? Like where one day I'm like, learn affiliate, then I'm like, learn TikTok, learn this, learn that, and I create, these small courses and kind of make money that way, or just have like one overall arching course. And I find the people who do the smaller courses who are constantly recreating, they don't have as much like resulted value there because they're not actually on that topic for long enough. Like, learn how to use TikTok to sell MLM, and then they'll go like, learn how to use organic to sell MLM, and then go from one to the other. You do it the free way, it takes hours of work. Two, here's a fast way to start everything using the tools and get it done in 10 minutes. And yeah, that's really it. And a lot of people are inherently lazy, and that's why they'll have like seed capital and they're like, not everybody wants to learn all this kind of stuff to it. Like that's one thing you have to factor too, is to learn affiliate, like there's multiple parts of like what I do that you'd have to learn how to do. It's like one is finding your niche, one is getting your offer, next is like creating the landing page, so between, and then creating ads, etc. So you're learning how to be a product specialist, you're learning how to be a web designer, you're learning all these different steps, and I think there's a benefit to it. Like I'd love something like that, where basically, yeah, you learn so many skills from it that those skills will future benefit you in any kind of endeavor you do. But not many people are willing to do that. Like these people are after kind of like the fast money, where I've had lots of people where they're like, hey, just do it all for me, and it's kind of like, I could probably set something like that up, but it's like, why don't I just do it myself? Why don't you just, if it really works, it's like, and you're doing it for people, why aren't you just kind of doing it yourself to some extent? Unless you're like me, you're also trying to create like an affiliate army and everything else. What do you feel about businesses like TextBot AI and stuff give you an AI bot that sells for you and you earn money for people getting the service underneath you, etc.? They're okay. It's like a true pyramid MLM where you're just like selling the product, and sometimes, a lot of the times, the product doesn't really, like, it's all front end on that. All they cared about is the front end side, and the product isn't always good in the end. So you're really just relying that it's a good product, and you're stuck with that product too. You have nothing else that you could advertise. Share a number, a link, you make 100, like that stuff can work. I just find it's a limited lifespan to doing something like that, versus like if you learn the skill of affiliate marketing, it gives you, everything only kind of works for like 6 to 9 months, and then you kind of have to move on to something else. But if you learn the skill of just like promoting multiple products and everything else, I think that's a better skill. But you can sell both, like both will work. And I think most businesses, like one thing they'll look at ads and everything else, but they don't really look at having affiliates or having other people do it for them. And it's almost like I just about worked with this one, charity. It gives away free information, etc. And you can make money just kind of getting more people enrolled and everything else. And it's a decent model. Like it can work, but yeah, it's one of those things where you also have to kind of teach them how to do that acquisition, unless you give them like one way to just like spam organically, and it's kind of hopeless. Like there's so many, it's like the whole Pinterest info product trend that we're doing that no longer works anymore, but they still think it makes you makes you money. Where just organically post on Pinterest and etc. It's like, well, that opportunity doesn't work anymore. So it's like, what do you do at that point? What's the next step? Or that's became too competitive. Where it's like, if you learned all the skills of, say, affiliate marketing, you can apply that to any product. And the best part is, it's like learning this digital stuff. You can basically learn to do it for your own endeavors. You know, what's going to build a membership? Show them the way to make free money every day. Got a gambling systems, make $5 a day, walk them into the products, etc. And yeah, I think something like that, it could definitely work. You will have to be careful on the ad side of like what kind of claims you make. Like making claims in general of, you know, you have to make it about yourself. So it's like how I made, like, here's how I made this much just using this simple system. Um, and go from there. Oh, my TeamSpeak crashed. Wow, what are the odds of that? Get them into stuff like prosperity marketing system, etc. $12 MLMs. Yeah, it could work for it as long as there's value there and it's currently working.
Connected.
You can pretty much do unlimited things.
Channel switched. Channel switched.
Hi, FY, still
Hi.
streaming. But I didn't know TeamSpeak crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
thought
doing
your
that
whole
lately.
Computer crashed.
No, it's still
Did you
up.
take the tape off? Did you take the sticker off?
I tried, you know.
Probably do
but-
that.
Yeah, but no, there's tons of ways to make info products and everything else, and all that stuff kind of work. You have to really just see the user flow, and it's like, would it work for you, etc., and kind of what are you teaching them, and really just step out of. If you can make a plan where people make money, then heck yeah, go for it. But on that note, we've been here an hour. I'm probably gonna cut it here. I may do a landing page tonight. Maybe not. I have some other ad stuff that I'm doing, but pleasure chatting, like always. We didn't do too much on GPT, but I did show like kind of what the limitations are. I don't think it's as good as everybody says it is because they're marketers, you know. But AI will have a space. Like, you might as well start to use it now. It's kind of a tool you can use to market on that side. But we're going to see, it's like crypto. 2023 has turned into just AI bloody everything. And we know all these courses are going to make claims. How to make $5,000 a day, Fiverr with AI, copy and blah, blah, but it won't talk about everything else. The Cash App gives free $5 net spend, free $20 PayPal, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, it's a good method. Anytime, like, any kind of product itself can benefit from using affiliate products. Or like having an affiliate set up for it and putting it on affiliate networks, especially if you know how to do it. Like, it's in your best interest in order to do it. Then you learn how to do it and then teach other people how to do it and make money. But anyways, ladies, gentlemen, I hope you have a good day. If I don't see you tonight, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.